Can we now continue our interviews of Dunedin's mayoral candidates, and we're joined by Andrew Whiley. Good evening.
Good evening.
Andrew, how long have you lived in Dunedin?
My family and I moved here in 2003, but I was born and raised in Wellington.
How and why are you running for the mayoralty?
Well, basically, when we arrived here in 2003, we looked at the city. We thought we'll be here for 2 or 3 years and then we'd move on. But we fell in love with the city, and it's it's a great city. There's so many opportunities here, and we've got all the ingredients there, but we're not quite putting it together.
Okay, what sort of leadership experience can you bring to the table?
Well, I've been a city councillor now for the last 3 years. That was a huge learning curve, and it's a big challenge. From there, being a golf professional at a golf club, you're dealing with 500 people. You quickly learn how to deal with a lot of people, listen, engage. And good leadership is a lot about that.
What do you think are the top 2 issues currently facing the city?
Well, I look at jobs as being really, really important. It's telling the story about why people should move to Dunedin, invest in Dunedin, start their businesses in Dunedin, and that's a big part of it. We want to focus on South Dunedin, and that is a big, big issue. But really, the infrastructure has now been looked after. We've got to do some investment down the line. But I think the next key important issue for me is the hospital. That is really, really important. That is really going to be where we are on the map as a city. We lose teaching medical school accreditation. That changes a lot of things dynamically. My family and I moved here partly because of that type of hospital in town. And you'll see a lot of professionals, a lot of the faculty from the university will disappear. And we underplay that, and we've actually engaged with Wellington and central government and really focus that one through. But that's, to me, the hospital is a major.
What do you consider to be the core functions of the DCC?
Well, obviously it's the services. It's the, whether it's regulatory, it's the infrastructure, it's what comes to your gate, getting your rubbish taken out, things like that. But, it's really all of that. It's the services, and it engages everybody. Everybody has a relationship with the DCC in some way, and that's the important part.
How do you think the current council is performing?
Well, I think let's start with council staff. You know what, the staff are absolutely fabulous. They're underappreciated, and God, they work tirelessly for the city. When you then look at what we've achieved in the last 3 years, the staff, Grant McKenzie, who is the CFO, did an awesome job in managing and bringing a lot of things together. The finances are better than we expected, but I think we left a lot on the table. There's so much more to be done. We lost focus in some of the other areas.
What would you do differently if you were mayor?
Well, I think the key thing being is when you think about what is a good mayor, you go through your head and say, who are the good mayors? Who are the mayors you've really seen as being important? They've all stood up, they've engaged, they've been out there, they've been active. And that's the type of mayor that I want to be. You've got to also listen, but you've also got to really see what's important from the community. So you're talking to the wealthiest people, you're talking to the poorest people, you're talking to the youngest, and you're talking to the oldest. It's the 360-degree approach. You've got to take it all in. One of the things that I learnt in Saddle Hill Community Board was that it's amazing how many things you learn at the morning teas, the community meetings, things like that. But yet we didn't see the mayor turn up to those events. We didn't see him engaging at that level. And to be honest, that's the type of mayor that I'd want to be. It's really important to always be engaging with people.
So then what would you say is the most important function of the mayor?
Well, be present, be up front, stand up and front up, to be honest. When you look at South Dunedin, did South Dunedin see the mayor on a regular basis? Did he engage? Was he there talking with the community? That, to me, Bob Parker, I thought, is really what some people look at as being a mayor that really stood up when a crisis happened. That, to me, is the role of the mayor. You're there for the good times, you're there for the bad times, but you're there for the community.
Do you have the skills to lead the council?
Well, nobody does. You know what, to be honest, anybody who says, yes, I've got all those skills, nobody knows until they get into that role. Do I have the skills to do the job? Yes. The challenge is going to be I'll do the job my way, not Dave's way, not as some of the mayors have. And I think, yes, I do have that ability. Again, I go back to my days as a golf professional. You're working at a golf club of 500, 600 plus people. It's a mini town. Everybody's got issues. Everybody's got to be heard. Everybody's got to be engaged with. And that's what it's about. But I've got, the other part is, you know what, I've employed people. I've run a business. I've run businesses. It's also looking after all the other issues of, it's balancing the dollars, building a team. You're coaching people. You're working with people.
Where does Dunedin's future lie?
Number one, I think it's in our lifestyle. When you talk about everybody that's moved to Dunedin, they go, wow, what a great city. Never thought this was here, never thought that was there. And I think that's a really big part of it. The other one, if I'm looking at where we've got to be in 3, 5, 10 years' time, the two areas I really see is the tech industry is really going to take off. Gigatown, we still have some opportunities there, but we're also attracting some smart minds in that area. This morning's paper highlighted that story with RocketWorks, 5 staff April last year, now at 28. They'll have 35 by Christmas, potentially up to 150. They're one of quite a few companies in town with that sort of growth. I also look at niche manufacturing. When you go around and talk to the people in the industrial area and you see what they're doing, they're doing some amazing big projects, but they're amazing little projects. And the minds and the technologies we have in the city, that's where we'll excel.
What do you love about Dunedin?
You know what, again, it has to go back to the lifestyle. I love the fact that you could actually leave work, at 5:15, pick up your family, and you can be at the park, having fish and chips. You can leave work at 5:15, go home, get your golf clubs, be on the first tee at a golf course. It's all those sorts of things. And that's our selling point. You talk to the people in Auckland, and what do they hate about Auckland? It's been living in the cars, an hour and a half each way. My wife tells a story that when we arrived in Dunedin, and somebody asked her when we went back to Vancouver for a visit, they said, will you come back? And she goes, no. I said, I love Dunedin. She goes, why? They said, we bought time. We found the time as a family. And I think that's the story we haven't told. Again, it's hospital, it's education, it's that whole environment.
Why should we vote for you?
Well, I've got to focus on really building on Dunedin as a lifestyle. It's all about making us one of the great cities in the world. We're not going to be the biggest city in the world. We're not going to be the smartest city in the world. We're just going to be a great city. But also going to be a great city to have a family, buy a home, have a lifestyle and retire. And I think that's really important to me, and that's the vision I want to put out there.
Dunedin City Council mayoral candidate Andrew Whiley, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.